kind of a good moral standpoint. Of course, he's the head of the technology with Microsoft, you might say, so he's pretty aware of how it helps us, and he believes it'll help the poor people as well. And a united effort, he believes, will make a dramatic effect. I wanted to read this quote that he said. He said, "If we can spend the early decades of the 21st century finding approaches that meet the needs of the poor in ways that generate profits for business, we will have found a sustainable way to reduce poverty in the world." I mean, that's like a huge statement saying, you know, if we do this, we can really, really get rid of the poverty almost, you know, in a dramatic way. Okay, there's definitely skepticism in regards to this because William Easterly, he's a New York University professor, he stated that, you know, the view that the bottom of the pyramid or the poor people are not worth it to private businesses because the transactions are so small. I mean, how many poor people do you see buying, you know, mass quantities of computers? And, you know, they don't have the money for it, so it's, right now, the transactions are very small. Also, Bill Gates has he had a fierce competitor drive. You know, moral sentiment seems surprising from a man whose competitor drive was so fierce that it caused legal action from antitrust companies. So he had to deal with all that, and he was so fierce when he was making his money. And now he's saying, "Oh, we need to give all our money away." You know, he's doing this after he made billions. You know, poverty wasn't an issue before, and now it is. So it's kind of skeptical. One more thing I wanted to say about that was, he only started to experiment with software in poor countries in 2006. So he just started to experiment with it, and he's made so much money. So people are like, I don't know if you really believe this only because you want to give it away now that you have it. When you didn't have it, you didn't really care about the poor people. So that's that on skepticism. Related books. I wanted to talk about the books that influenced them because they have really good points. The Wealth of Nations was written by Adam Smith. It's a big pro-capitalism book. It talks about self-interest driving capitalism. He still believes in capitalism. He just has a more creative approach. The Theory of Moral Sentiments was also written by Adam Smith, and it says in it that people do gain pleasure from the fortunes of others, which is, true in a way. When we give to somebody, we kind of get a sense of pleasure, and that's what he's saying, that business people can do that in a mass way with the other side of the world, and here at home for the workers. Another book was The Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid by C.K. Perholland. And it says that leading companies should work with the poorest because the 4 billion people represent a huge market for companies willing to try. That's a lot of people. If you could just try to get them to buy your stuff, you could really make a profit. So I wanted to end with one more quote because I thought it was important. He said this in the actual article, he said this. He said, "In the coming decades, we will have astonishing new abilities to diagnose illness, heal disease, educate the world's children, create opportunities for the poor, and harness the world's brightest minds to solve our most difficult problems." I thought that was important because he really believes that these poor people, if they have the right technology and the right motivation, they can help us with cancer, cures for cancer. It's 4 billion people. It's a lot of people that just need some money and, I guess, a push towards more, a better life. So basically, Bill Gates does have a creative idea to approaching capitalism, and he hopefully wants to encourage the leading companies to share the wealth with people who need it the most. So now,
I'm going to be discussing it's not really considered a campaign nor a charity, but Bono actually, who's one of the co-founders, Bono, the lead singer of U2, but